I want to welcome all of you to our City Leader podcast. My name is Mike Decker, and joining me in the house is my good friend Tom Hatch. Tom.
Mike, great to be here with you today.
Good to be here. So, for those of you who are watching this maybe for the first time, the goal of this podcast is to help people, at least from my vantage point, help people love their city. What does that look like? And I wanted also to hopefully motivate, even possibly our young people, to why would they want to consider city government for a career path and so forth. So we'll talk about all of that. But right now, so Tom, for those of you who are tuning in, Tom, for the last, 15 years you've been serving at City Hall in what form, or what kind of, where'd you end up? What was your last post there in Costa Mesa?
So I've been working for the city of Costa Mesa for a total of 12 and a half years. And for the last 7.5 years, I was the city manager, and then recently terminated and left that position in mid-November of this year.
So let's talk about population of Costa Mesa.
About 115,000.
Okay. And there's some major businesses. Like, we're talking Orange County. So we're one of how many cities in Orange County?
34 cities in Orange County.
We're one of 34. We, for those of you outside the area, are on the south of us is Newport Beach, which you might be familiar with. And then to the west of us is Huntington Beach, Surf City. So we're up on this plateau geographically. We've got an airport, right?
Near us. It's technically not in any city. They have it in an unincorporated area, and 4 different cities surround the airport.
And that is?
So it's
John Wayne
Airport.
Okay.
It's the major airport in Orange County, and it's very convenient for all of us, and it's a key transportation piece for all of Orange County.
So from a business perspective, what are some of we have lots of businesses, but what are some of the pillars of our community?
Yeah, so clearly, when people, and myself before I came to Costa Mesa, when I thought about Costa Mesa, South Coast Plaza, comes to mind. And so South Coast Plaza is a very unique and high-end shopping experience, and it's the number one revenue-producing mall or plaza in the United States in terms of revenue. Some malls and plazas are bigger. Coast Plaza produces a tremendous amount of sales tax revenue.
How much?
Well, we get as a city about $17 million in annual revenue from the 1 penny of every dollar that is spent. And so if you take 17 million, add a few zeros to that, it comes out to $1.7 billion in annual sales. And so that's a tremendous revenue generator and economic engine for the whole community. And then having something like that in your town, hotels and other businesses naturally want to be near that and a part of it. And so we were very fortunate as a community in Costa Mesa, and been blessed for many years that the Segerstrom family, when they came here and they had the vision that they had to put that down, it's made a huge difference in Costa Mesa.
So we have South Coast Plaza, which is the Segerstroms, or the foundational family for that. What are some other kind of recently the Los Angeles Chargers, right? They came to town.
I'm a football fan, and I'm not sure how much we're going to get into that, but the Chargers are a unique element of our community. So there's only 32 teams in the league, and so they have to have their home base somewhere, and the Chargers chose Costa Mesa, and they chose it for all the things that we're proud of too. They're excited about our community, and they think it's unique and hip and eclectic and fun and all those things. And so they're a iconic feature of Costa Mesa. We're glad to have them as part of our community. But let me run down a few of the others. Vans Shoes was started in Costa Mesa. Mike's wearing Vans today. I wore Vans from I think I was about 11 when I got my first pair of Vans, or maybe even 10.
And Scott and Tom, by the way, I've seen some video of him on the skateboard. So
yes, I do. Break it out like once a year. So I used to be once every couple hours when I was a kid, but about once a year I jump on a skateboard and still have some fun with it. But Vans is a unique Southern California shoe brand that really identifies with our culture and style and in Costa Mesa. And they started right around here. They're the Van Dorens went to Estancia High School, and locally in the community, they wanted to come back to Costa Mesa. And I guess it's about a year and a half ago now, maybe 2 years, they came back to Costa Mesa and wanted to be here in our community. And then on and on, you could think of Volcom, Hurley, Ruvka, and these kind of surf and skate and action apparel industry
Wahoos,
leaders,
right, on the west side here.
And so those kinds of action sports businesses really define Costa Mesa. We have, we're a auto leader, and so Southern California and California in general is a kind of a car buff capital, and it's part of our culture throughout California. And so we have a lot of auto dealers in town, and a lot of unique auto repair and customization. And so the auto industry is fairly large in Costa Mesa as well. We have the best restaurants in Orange County and Costa Mesa. I'd say even broader than that. We have some just outstanding restaurants that are continually on the top lists of restaurants throughout Southern California. Currently, the number one restaurant in all of Southern California by the LA Times is in Costa Mesa. And so then many of my favorites aren't even on the list that I see. I feel like how do they miss all those? But we're so fortunate to have all those kind of fun restaurants to go to.
It's sort of funny, not funny in a funny way, but it's odd to hear you talk, because you sound like our city manager of our city, and
former city manager, and
the fairgrounds, right? That's a big
fairgrounds
enterprise.
Is really unique. We are a college town with Vanguard University and Orange Coast College and many other institutions that value higher learning locally. And so we have incredible transportation systems in town. We have the beach very close. We have trails and open space and many golf courses. We're very fortunate and blessed in Costa Mesa.
Really, and I guess my encouragement to our listeners is, as you hear Tom talk about Costa Mesa, that your city's no different if you live outside of, maybe you don't live in Costa Mesa, but there's a place for everybody to get engaged, whether it's the parks or the schools, like where we first met, or in various industries. And that's really my hope, is that as you listen to these interviews, that maybe something will stir in your heart to say, hey, well, how can I become more of a shareholder and not just an observer from the sidelines,
Correct. No, there's many of those, and I've just a couple more.
Okay.
Just quickly, the arts component of Costa Mesa is very unique. Our performing arts complexes are, second to maybe LA and San Francisco in all of California, and rival, many throughout the whole nation. And so our art scene is second to none as well for Orange County. We're about to get the Orange County Museum of Art in town, and that's going to be a huge addition to the Segerstrom Center for the Arts. And so we're very fortunate.
By the way, I think the thing that I've always respected about you, and I know I've told you this before, is that you genuinely care for people. And my disappointment, and this isn't in you, but my disappointment was that people didn't get a chance to see that heart. Like, you have such a deep heart and passion and compassion for people, and the people who serve under your leadership at every level, from the 5th floor down to the ground level. And I always just felt, if people could just see the passion and the compassion inside of it. For whatever reason, does the job itself not allow you to kind of take off the mask? You have to kind of always be guarded, or
that I think you are hitting on it. I'm not sure exactly when this developed in me, but I care deeply about the community. I am a professional. I'm hired to be a professional, to run the organization as a professional. And so when I think about that in my career, and what local government professionals learn throughout their career through professional organizations and through training and education, is that that approach to professionalism is requires that you operate in the sense that you're a humble person that is responsible for providing leadership, but it isn't about me. It's never been about me throughout my career. It's never been about me as the city manager. It was the broader community, the council, the staff organization, the all members of the community, the faith-based community, all working together to move forward. And so in some way, that I'm actually proud to hear you say that, because I never wanted it to be about, that's Tom Hatch. And some people, don't know my name. And, I joke about my wife and how involved she was at Costa Mesa High School over the years. I was known at Costa Mesa High School as Vanessa Hatch's husband. That wasn't, that's Tom Hatch's, the city manager. It was, there's Vanessa Hatch's husband.
Yeah.
And a few people knew I worked for the city, but something about just being humble and trying to solve problems. And
so what would your message be to businesses in terms of what they might get involved in? And I also like you to think about, what would your message be to pastors? Because I'm a pastor of Palm Harvest Church, and there are many other pastors here in our city who may be tuning in. And so I'd love for you to just challenge them. But let's start with the businesses.
Well, when I think about communities and cities in the past, and there was more involvement through service clubs and service providers, and people were able to be engaged and involved in a variety of different ways in their community. I think as we all have very busy, hectic lives, it's harder and harder to get together on a regular basis with friends and colleagues and do service projects. And so I think the business community, through the Chamber of Commerce, as well as just understanding an issue and caring about their community and being involved, it's critical for them to do that, because we're better with it. And I think you hit on a good one for the business community, and I'll go into the pastors as well. The idea of homelessness was one that really connected with a lot of different folks. And so when people are impacted, like they are in homelessness, and so we had homeless that would go onto private property that were operated by businesses, and the businesses, that was their property, and they were some were frustrated at times that they were having impacts from homelessness. Well, those folks were required to be engaged in some, because they had a direct issue and a challenge. And so I think as a broader community, we need to think about not only what's directly impacting us, but how is it impacting our broader community. And so we need to, it's challenging and changing our thinking from what's impacting me to what's impacting our broader community. And Mike, you've been a leader, and we have many leaders in the church community that have been engaged in a variety of ways. And so the church community thinks differently in Costa Mesa, and has been probably the best leaders in Orange County that I'm aware of, that says, this is our community too. We're going to be engaged. We're going to be involved. And so homelessness clearly, but it's many other aspects of the community that members of various churches in town have been engaged in a variety of different issues. And so that thinking differently about, this is our community, we're going to be involved, has engaged and encouraged thousands of folks to be involved in a variety of different ways. And I think that's unique. And so congrats to you and many other folks. So you've changed the thinking, and we've done some good things with homelessness, but there's so many other issues. And so I challenge everyone in, businesses and just people in general. So there's folks out in our community right now that retired a few years ago that have talent and skills and all these great abilities that they can bring, and they don't know how to be engaged and involved. And I remember, and if I reflect back on my wife being so involved at Costa Mesa High School, and wanting to get involved a little myself, but I didn't have a title, didn't have a job, and I felt like walking around like folks would feel like, well, who's this person, and what's he doing here, and why is he involved? And so I think at times government, the chamber, and as a broader community, we need to accept and welcome in others to be engaged and involved, because some people want to do that, they don't know what to do, they don't know how to do it. They need to be welcomed. They need to feel involved and engaged, and we need to communicate with them about what's happening. And so, but with that, then people, if we start doing that as a community, they need to step up and be involved. There's so many issues and problems, and many times folks are waiting for someone else to solve those problems. I think we need to pull back and say, we're all responsible for those problems, like we're doing on homelessness, but how could we do that on every aspect? Crime issues, park issues, recreation issues. There's so many. Our local schools. There's so many ways that people can be involved in their local schools, and I don't think they're getting involved, and they may have some blockade or some barrier that they need to get through, but they need to get through those and find ways to get involved. And so there's a lot to do for Costa Mesa. It's a great town. We've already raised the bar. I think with your leadership and the pastors in town, I know a lot more people could do even greater things for Costa Mesa.
All right, so 2 more questions. Question number 1. So you, in November, got terminated.
Correct.
You got canned. You got
Correct.
given the boot.
Fired.
Got fired. And we have talked how that's just, from your perspective, that just goes with the territory. As the city manager, that's one of the risks. You're an at-will employee, and you serve in your point, five bosses. But anytime a person's terminated, as was the case with you, and I'm looking from the outside in and maybe also from the inside out, is there anything you want to say? There was as far as I know, there wasn't a cake or balloons or anything or a going away party. Or is there anything that you want to say to your comrades at City Hall that you haven't had a chance to maybe?
Sure. No, I didn't. And that, in a different way, it's about being a professional. And so there's professional standards of being a pastor, of being a police officer, of being a teacher, of being engaged, being a business person. We all have professional standards. So the standard for a city manager is, in my book, it's not about me. It's about helping the community move forward. And so my first intent was to quietly move on. I did some great things here. I worked hard. I care deeply. I built some great friendships with people at a city hall. We have a staff that really is truly outstanding. So you hear city managers say, our staff is the best. Our staff was fantastic. They were incredible. They worked incredibly hard and very, very efficient and creative. We did some great things. And so I cared about them deeply. But there was a new council coming in, a change from 5 members to a directly elected mayor and 6 council members, so a total of 7 elected officials. That group is plotting a new course about where Costa Mesa is going to go. The best thing for me as a city manager is to move on quietly and move forward. Now, I would have loved to said goodbye to folks, and I didn't get to do much of that. But when the decision's made to move on and terminate and move on, then it's about how to quietly move on to allow the focus to be on moving forward. Not about, where's Tom? No, he's gone. He's doing fine. He's got good things on the horizon. He's doing really well. He did great things here for us. Our government works when democracy works when local electorate elects leaders that represent their interest, and then those leaders can work with professional staff to implement those ideas. And so it's vital. It's critical that new elected leadership have the ability to ensure that their ideas and policies and concerns and hopes and dreams can move forward quickly. And they need the professional leadership to be right there in lockstep with them as they move forward. And so that's how I love democracy. I love representative government, and I love the profession of trying to help folks. And so all that together makes me have this corny way of, caring deeply and doing all I can and then quietly moving on to allow our community to continue being great. And so that's important to me.
Well, I think I would challenge. First, I'll say thank you. Thank you for your service to our city. Thank you for your service at City Hall and everything that you and your family do in our city. We are grateful. Our city and community is better for it. At the same time, I want to challenge you. You are still a shareholder. You still live in the city. You have a home here. And I don't know, there's got to be a way, Tom, and I think you have the right personality for this, to still be a value adder. I mean, what you're saying is, as a professional, I have a duty to take the high road. As a professional, I have the duty to encourage and promote. But I don't think necessarily you have a duty to just leave and take your ball with you. I want to encourage you, and if anything, the two of us, we will continue to side by side, arm in arm, to add value where we see value is needed. Because really, that's the challenge that you're given to us as pastors, as business leaders, as homeowners, to say add value. And so don't just go home and don't just slink away and go on your next journey, which you have one for, I know, but there's a tension, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I hope your face will still be shown from time to time.
It will. This is my community. I love Costa Mesa. I go to all the shops, and I went to a basketball game recently, local high school basketball game. This is my community. I care deeply about it. There's going to be a professional carefulness about how I approach different things, but I care deeply. I'll be engaged and be involved.
I think the challenge will be is when you see somebody moving our city, and you're a homeowner in our city, in a direction that maybe you have a hard time with, right? That's when it's a divisive issue, when people go, so what do you think, right? Let's get a soundbite from you. And that's when you want to take the high road. That's when you say, listen, that person's a city manager. However, you still have a voice, and you still have a responsibility maybe to provide your perspective. It's just, how do you go about doing it? I don't think there's anything that prohibits you from calling somebody up and saying, hey, can we have coffee?
Yeah.
Because you have all this experience, you just put it in another arena, or do you share it with somebody?
Yeah. No, that's, I don't have an answer today. I don't know how that's going to unfold. I value your input and advice always, and so I need to unpack that, like you say, and analyze that and think about that.
It will be interesting, though, to see how long it takes you before you stop looking up at City Hall, or you stop. I mean, right now it's maybe a little raw still. The transition.
It's not, though. So it because of what I just described to you throughout my whole career. So I've changed jobs. I've worked for 6 different cities. Every time I changed jobs, focus was on the new organization and moving forward. And so it always. I helped move communities forward, and then I left and, in a sense, passed that torch to someone else. What's different is I live here, and this is my community, and that's what changes it in my mind. But it was so in a strange way, it was easy to move on from cities because I worked my guts out everywhere, then passed the torch and moved on somewhere else. It's different that I live here, and so I need to think about that.
It's weird. You go to a basketball game, a local high school game, and you see our police officers, our school resource officers here, right? They're going to recognize your face because you've interviewed a lot of them and gave them, offered them the job and stuff. I think it's good for you to still go up and shake their hand and say, hey, how you doing? And it might be feel like there's an elephant in the room. It might be awkward a little bit, but it's just, it's natural. It's the natural thing to do. And I think it's the right thing to do. And the more you say hello, and the more you just kind of, not hunker down, it'll get easier.
I think so. It was, even just seeing those officers at that basketball game, it was, I get the sense from people that, oh, there he is, and he got fired, and wonder how he's doing. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I feel so positive about how I helped this community in so many ways. In many ways, no one will ever know all those little things that really are going smoothly, or different improvements that I helped with, and I'm okay with that. But so there is this element that, oh, there he is, like he's yes, I was fired. I think most people have been in fired. That was the first time I've been fired, but it was I'm comfortable with it, and it is part of the job, and it's part of local government. It's a critical part of local government, and so I need to. I guess the more people see me, and it won't be as strange. It'll be for all the right reasons.
I think that for me, a bigger takeaway is transition. So many times we fear transition, and just talking to you the last few weeks, it's amazing how there's a lightness in your spirit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think the pressure of the job, it's only when you don't have that pressure anymore that you sort of realize, wow, I was really carrying a lot.
Yeah.
I tell that with cops. They retire 6 months from now, they realize, oh my gosh, I was really stressed. And a year goes by and, oh my gosh, I was really stressed. And then 2 years go by and go, oh my gosh, how stressed was I? But I can hear it in your voice when we talk, and
Absolutely.
It just really reinforces. I'll just shout out to our community, to religious people of faith. We need to pray for our city leaders, because it is a heavy load. And
lonely, and there's a lot you just have to keep to yourself, and different challenges and issues come forward, and I appreciate that. And so that's another thing the church community and the faith-based community has done in Costa Mesa. You've done that. I agree with you, though. More is needed, and those people need to be supported and thanked.
So what we've heard today is Tom Hatch is going to go undercover, but not really. He's still going to go out, and he'll say hello. Yeah. Don't be afraid to say hello.
Not at all.
Give him some love. We all need love.
Absolutely.
So you want to talk about your transition at all?
Sure. I just recently accepted a new position, and that position I'm very excited about. By the time this comes out, I should have started that position, and so I'll be working with the County of Orange, and so it's still a municipal organization. It's a county organization, but they still call it municipal or local government. And the county's a gigantic operation, 18,000 employees. I'll be the chief human resources officer, and that person is really functioning as kind of an assistant to the CEO, but also responsible, or like a director of a human resources department, as we're kind of those general things we're all aware of recruitment, retention of talented employees, helping with training of talented employees, helping the board of supervisors and the CEO of the county negotiate with employee organizations and unions, and just looking to hire outstanding people to continue to provide great service to the broader residents of Orange County. There's 3.2 million people that live in Orange County, and that organization is critical to providing services, broad services to the Orange County. You were talking about the airport. That's operated by the county. There's county parks. There's county healthcare services, a broad variety of services that are provided. There's the sheriff's department, probation departments, and all kinds of other services.
The manual must be about.
It's a big operation, and so I'm excited. I'm going to have about 160 full-time folks in my department. I'm excited about getting to know them, helping them be great professionals to support the county organization, to help employees achieve their hopes and dreams, and helping the organization be efficient and effective for the broader citizens of Orange County.
So last question, these last words are yours. Why would a young person, want to consider city government for a career?
Sure. It's a great career. There are you have the ability as an individual to directly affect lives. And so when I was throughout my career, I used that word power earlier, and I wanted increasing power, not for the weird ability to control and different things, to affect change and help provide quality service and build credibility in local government. And so when someone is working in a local government environment and they hear of a concern or an issue or problem out there, you could make something happen. And so if a individual in the community comes forward to a council meeting and has a concern, that concern is shared. And if it makes sense and it's a good idea, council members expect that staff will work on those things and try to make change. And so you could get a problem, work on a problem, and solve a problem. Not all problems, but certainly you can make a difference and improve the quality of life in communities. And so that is unique. So you're solving your problem. You're helping to solve problems, but you're helping to solve problems that really impact lives of communities, and that people see those impacts as they move forward. I'm proud of the thousands of little problems that we solved and bigger problems that we solved, and that quietly has made this community better and better and better. And so if people want to impact their communities, they could really do that.
Right on. Well, we wish you the best in
Thank you, Mike. This was fun.
New venture. And Tom Hatch, if you have Tom's phone number, it hasn't changed. Give him a call, reach out to him, and glad to have you on the show. Signing off from our City Leaders podcast. I'm Mike Decker with my friend Tom Hatch.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Palm Harvest Podcast. Make sure you check us out at palmharvest.com.